Hello everybody, welcome to Chimp Reviews. I have given myself exactly 6 minutes to talk about the new Netflix thriller Below Zero. Below Zero is a Spanish thriller, rather slick, rather dark, rather cold, violent in places, bludgeoned heads, see a few of those along the journey. So you have a main character who is a police officer of a very high moral standing. He's just about the cleanest police officer you got going in movies, so you're all right there. And he is charged with the task of escorting a group of rather unsavoury prisoners from one very cold location to another very cold location. And along the way, the truck gets hijacked and the prisoners start getting bumped off slowly, kind of one by one in a survival of the fittest sort of fashion. The unfolding story involves the perpetrator who is doing this and why he's doing this, and so we have a bit of a mystery storyline going alongside a intense survival thingy with a bunch of guys who kind of hated each other at the beginning but learn sort of to settle their difference. I'm not going to carry on with that, otherwise I'd be spoiling the film. I think you get the gist. So it's a interesting concept. Its main selling point is the claustrophobic, atmospheric moodiness of the place that the guys are trapped in, which is the main kind of prison block of the van. They're all there, kind of getting bumped off, learning to get along, learning to work with each other even though they are on opposite sides of the law. From the way I'm describing it, it does sound kind of standard and kind of generic, but it is quite nicely scripted and it is well acted and the characters are relatively three-dimensional. So I think I am going to score this film. I'm gonna give it a solid 3. It's not a bad film. It's got some good stuff going on. The main issue I have with it really involves let's call it the last 15 minutes. It does one of those things where dark Netflix films, they tend to go in this direction when suddenly they just hit you with all the shock buttons really suddenly and really fast, which allows the viewers to stop and question everything that they perceived up until that point, which is kind of clever to an extent. Now, this kind of moral ambiguity only really works when it is able to support itself. Now, unfortunately, in the case of movies like Below Zero, while you are being led towards re-evaluating the morals and the ethics of the characters you spent time with for the entire film, you are also having to sit there and watch a rather silly two-dimensional fight scene. You know, it's one of those things where they stab each other with glass and, you know, bash each other's heads into the floor a bunch of times, and, you know, they're all freezing to death and bleeding and recovering from bullet wounds that they obtained pretty earlier on in the movie. And for all of that to happen and for them to still carry on bashing the flipping cobblers out of each other, it does sort of dull the impact of any kind of sort of moral, social message that they're trying to hammer home here. It's a common problem, I find, in movies such as this one, and if your plan is to delve into issues of extreme tenderness and, you know, social complicatedness, it's probably best to do it in a setting that doesn't involve people, you know, shivving each other with shards of glass, just to get the one up in a bit of a scrap. So that's my main kind of qualm with the movie. I think overall it has quite a lot of good bits. I think if you are kind of going in here with a kind of flat expectation of the whole thing being a bit two-dimensional, you're going to be relatively surprised and relatively pleased at the way that some of the story arcs turn out and some of the choices that the characters make. But really, I think it falls flat in that finale, in that last 15 minutes. And I think the whole concept could have been removed from the thing that they are trying to apply as a ploy for shock value, which really probably didn't need to be in there and adds no real value to the movie. But other than that, it's good. Thank you very much. Bye.